how to get the square root of imperfect squares. So today, we will be getting the square root of 1234, an imperfect square. So for step number 1, we will write our number, which is 1234, with a radical sign. There. This one is the radical sign. Now let us proceed to the next step, step number 2. So for step number 2, each number must have a pair, each digit. So since this number, 1234, is a 4-digit number, each digit of 1234 already has a pair. There will be no need to add a 0 in front of the number. When do we add a 0 in front of a number? We will only add a 0 in front of the number if the number of digits is odd. For example, 3 digits or 5 digits. 123. We will get the square root of 123. We will need to add a 0 in front because 1 doesn't have pair. So why 0? It is because when we put a 0 in front, it does not change the value of the number. So since the number of digits of 1234 is not odd, then each digit already has a pair, 12 and 34. We will put an apostrophe between them to separate them. Number 3. Get the square root of the first pair. Since 12 is not a perfect square, then we will only get the number whose square is closest to 12. The square of that number should be less than 12. So let's try to find that number. Let's try 2. Square of 2 is 4. We should be finding the number whose square is closest to 12 and less than 12. 4 is less than 12, but it may not be the closest square to 12. So let's try another number. Let's try 3. So 3 squared is equals to 9. So it may be the one closest to 12 and it is less than 12. But for us to be sure that this is our number, then let's try one more. Let's try 4. So 4 squared is equals to 16. So it is also close to 12, but it is more than 12. It does not fulfill this requirement. So that means our number is, so we will write this 3 above and beside the radical sign. And then we will subtract its square to our first pair. So 12 minus 9 is equals to 3. Then we will bring down the second pair. Step number 4. We will multiply the square root of the first pair to 2. Multiplying the square root of the first pair by 2 is a general rule to getting the square root. So 3 times 2 is equals to 6. We will put this over here. Step number 5. Trickiest step, so listen carefully. So in this step, we will be finding the missing numbers over here and over here. We will get them by using trial and error. So in trial and error, you must get the number with the highest possible product that can be subtracted to the second pair. Our second pair is 34. 334. So the highest possible product should be less than or equal to the second pair. For our trial and error, we will be using this number over here as the first digit of our multiplicand. So for our first trial and error number, we will be using 4. Let's try 4. 4 times 4. This is how we will be doing the trial and error. Remember that the numbers on the right, over here, should always be the same. 56. So remember the rule. It says here that you must get the highest possible product, and that the highest possible product should be less than or equal to the second pair. So here is 256 and 334. It is less than 334, but it may not be the highest possible product. So let's try another number. We will be using this again. And now let's try 5. That the numbers on the right must always be the same. 125. So it is also less than 334, and it may be the highest possible product. But for us to be sure, let's try one more number. We'll be using this again. Let's try 6. 96. As you can see here, we tried 4, 5, and 6. So 396. Well, it cannot be the highest possible product. Why? Because it says here that the highest possible product should be less than or equal to this, to 334. So you see, this 396 is greater than 334. So it cannot be the highest possible product, which means that this is our answer over here. So our highest possible product is 325, and our number is 5. So our missing number is 5. We'll be putting them here and here, and then subtract the highest possible product to the second pair. So minus 325. And we have a remainder of 9. So let's move on to our next step. Step number 6. So for our step number 6, we will once again, like we did in step number 4, multiply the numbers on the top by 2. As I have said, this is a general rule in getting the square root. So 35 times 2 is equals to 70, and then we will put 70 over here. Now let's move on to the next step. Number 7. So for step number 7, since 1234 is an imperfect square, then its square root contains decimals. If we still want to continue this, we can put a point over here, and its square will be 35 point blank blank blank. So we will be getting the digits over here. So if we want to continue this, we'll put a point here, side 5, and a point here too, and then we will put zeros over here. We will also need to pair the zeros. So 0, 0 over here is a pair, and 0, 0 over here is a pair too. And we'll put apostrophes to separate them. There. This if you still want to continue this. Down the zeros over here, which makes 900. Now let's move on to our next step. Step number 8. So for step number 8, we will be finding the numbers over here and over here. Doing that by trial and error again. So the rules for trial and error here is you must get the number with the highest possible product that can be subtracted to 900. 900 here. the highest possible product should be less than or equal to 900. We will be doing the step that we did in step 5 again, but now we'll be using this 70. So 70, and we will use trial and error numbers again. So let's try 0. 100 times 0. Remember that the numbers over here on the right must always be the same. So 700 times 0 is equals to 0. It says here in the rules that you must get the highest possible product, and it should be less than or equal to 900. So 0 may not be the highest possible product, but it is less than 900. So let's try one more number. We'll be using this again. Let's try 1. So 701 times 1 is equals to 701. Remember that the numbers over here must always be the same. So 701 may be the highest possible product, and it is less than 900. But for us to be sure, let's try one more number. Let's try 2. 702 times 2. 1,404. It is a really high product, but it says here that it should be less than or equal to 900. And since 1,404 is greater than 900, so this cannot be our product and this cannot be our number. These two. So here is our product and here is our missing number. So we will put our missing number over here and over here at the very top. And we will subtract 701, our highest possible product, to 900. That makes 199. And then we will bring down this 0, 0 over here, our fourth pair. So it becomes 19,900. Now let's move on to our next step, step number 9. So for step number 9, we will once again multiply the numbers on the top by 2. As I have said, it is a general rule. But this time, since there is a decimal point, we will only be ignoring this decimal point over here. So which makes 351 times 2 is equals to 702. So remember, we will only ignore the decimal point over here. So it should not be 35.1 times 2. It should be 351 times 2. So 702. We'll be putting that over here. 702 over here, and then let's move on to our next step. Step number 10. So in step number 10, we'll be finding the missing numbers over here and over here. So we'll once again use trial and error. You must get the number with the highest possible product that can be subtracted to 19,900. Possible product should be less than or equal to 19,900. So we will repeat the steps that we did before. So we'll be using this 702 and a trial and error number. Let's try 1. 7,021. Remember that the numbers here must always be the same. For our rule, it says highest possible product and it should be less than 19,900. So 7,021 is less than 19,900, but it may not be the highest possible product. So let's try another number. So we'll be using this again. 2, and our second number, 2. 10,044. So it says here that it should be the highest possible product and less than or equal to 19,900. 14,044 is less than 19,900. But for us to be sure that it is the highest possible product, let's try one more number. And let's try 3. Remember that the numbers here must always be the same. 1,069. So it is a very high number, but it is not less than or equal to 19,900. See that 21,069 is greater than 19,900. So this cannot be our number, these two. So our number is here. Our product is 14,044 and our missing number is 2. So we'll be writing 2 over here and 2 at the top. Then subtract our highest possible product to 19,900. 856. And then let's get this to one more decimal. So I added 2 zeros over here as a pair. Then we'll bring them down. 585,600. Now let's move on to our next step. Step number 11. We will multiply the numbers at the top again by 2. So it is a general rule. We will ignore the decimal point over here. So it is not 35.12 times 2. It is 3,512 times 2 because we ignored the decimal point. So 3,512 times 2 is equals to 7,024. So we will put 7,024 over here. Let's move on to the next step. Step number 12. So for this step, we'll be finding the missing numbers over here and over here. So trial and error again. So you must get the number with the highest possible product that can be subtracted to 585,600. Possible product should be less than or equal to 585,600. So we've done this a lot of times already, so you already know. So we'll be using this again, 7,024. For our trial and error number, let's try 7. 3,247 times 7. Remember that the numbers here must always be the same. 491,729. Less than 585,600, but it may not be the highest possible product. Let's try other numbers. So use this again. Use 8. Yes, 561,984. It is less than 585,600, but it may not be the highest possible product. So let's try one more. Use this again. 7,024 and let's try 9. 32,241. So it is not less than or equal to 585,600. It is greater than. So this is not our number. This 2 is not our number. So our number is this, 8. So we'll put 8 here, 8 over here, at the top 2. And then we will subtract our highest possible product to 585,600. 23,616. Let's move on to our last step. Step number 13. Our last step. So for our last step, we'll be taking this 35.128 and we will round it off to the nearest tenths. The number in tenths place is 2 and the number beside it is 8. So 8 is greater than 5. So if it is greater than 5, then we round to up. So we will round this number up to the nearest tens. So this becomes 35.13 because we round to up. So now this is our square root. 5.13. How to find the square root of imperfect squares. Thank you very much for watching. We hope that you have learned something.